Good afternoon, everybody. It's Mike with SmartOptionTrading.com. It is Friday, April 4th. This is my weekly recap. I'm going to send this out there as I always do for free, and I hope this helps some of you. If you guys want to join us and join us in our live trading room, come to SmartOptionTrading.com and click on Live Trading Alerts, and you'll find the information there. I'll put a link in the description. Let's talk about what's going on here and in this market and this week. Market started off with a big gap down on Monday, and we had a huge rally off of it. We had a 3-day rally up into the tariff event on Wednesday. That tariff event turned into a massive sell the news event. Sell the event when instead of a 10% tariff across the board, which was originally announced, all the additional tariffs were put in place. And we saw a huge drop on Thursday, right? Gap down, closed on the lows, and overnight in the early morning hours, China responded and they were vicious on their response back. They put a 34% tariff on the US, and additionally, they have restricted rare earth minerals selling to us and have basically stopped imports of some food products and basically are putting a lot of companies on warning or banned list. Got a big gap down today, and we came all the way down to 505.52, going through a lot of levels here. We got, unfortunately, within a percent of getting a limit down on the S&P 500, 7%, you get a 15-minute halt. That would be bad. Volume today, you'll notice, is at 155 million shares. We got 27 minutes to go. We're going to close in on 200. If you're looking for capitulation volume, this is what it looks like. Okay, we're starting to see this. So we'll just open this up for a minute and you can see, look at this day down here, 146 million, right? We're already above that. It's been a while. The good news is you need that to find a bottom. The bad news is it still have been pretty orderly so far. And, there's a lot of leverage being unwound here. There's a lot of people and funds that were leveraged up and they're getting unwound here and it's still going on. The other big thing I would say here as you're watching this tonight, I would say the problem we're still facing is I don't see any signs of money, big money buying. If you look at it today, I know we're coming off the lows here. It's probably some shorts covering into this, maybe a little rally, but so far we're not seeing big funds buying. The headline risk over the weekend is both ways. First, Europe has yet to respond, and that is the one we're all waiting to see what they're going to say. The second is, I highly doubt it, but the president could have a change of heart and change this here. I'm sure there's under a lot of pressure to do something. A lot of people, I'm sure, are giving him calls. All right, let's leave this and let's go to some other areas here. Let's talk about Bitcoin holding in nicely. Surprising, Bitcoin finally detaching itself from the markets. Bonds had a huge spike and rise here. This was a flight to safety. It brought the 10-year down to the lowest level since 2022, I believe, coming off the highs. Okay. The VIX, we talked about through here that we needed to get into the mid 30s. Okay, we got into the 45 area. That said, we are way outside the Bollinger Bands. That means still risk off. Okay. What else? The Qs. The Qs have entered a bear market territory. We got down below that level, and we are now officially into a bear market on the QQQs, joining the IWM, which is also now in a bear market. The Dow, while down, continues to hold in better. The financials that led have gotten absolutely clobbered today, whether it was the ETF itself, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, right? All of these getting beaten up. Energy is getting destroyed. Energy, which had been so strong, look at this gap down from 94 all the way to 78, and that is because of what's going on with crude. Why is crude getting killed? Three things. One, the market's concerned about a global recession. Two, OPEC Plus is increasing production by more than anticipated. And three, as pointed out by Chris, and by the way, if you're not hanging out with us in our trading room and our Discord, you're missing out, that all crude is traded in the US dollar. And what's going on with the dollar? Yesterday had destruction there. So you have a lot going on here. Okay, you have a lot going on here underneath the covers. The semis. Nobody wants the semis. The new problems the semis face today is if China is really cutting off supplies of rare earth minerals, guess what? That's horrible for the semis and for all electronics. Most of the electronics use rare earth materials in them, batteries, the chips themselves, everything. So if there's less access to it or they become more expensive and harder to get, that is a problem for the market. All right, so we're seeing the semis dumping 180 here. NVIDIA coming all the way down to 92, breaking in a new range low. AMD, forget 95, came all the way to 83. Intel surprisingly still held in, but today it capitulated. Talk they're going to be working with Taiwan Semi. These are all on sale. Taiwan Semi here all the way down to the 145 area. Micron all the way down here into the 63 area. So, this is where you have to start doing your shopping, deciding what you may or may not want to own here as we go forward. Crypto names, coin, down but not as bad, holding in. MSTR went green today, right? Worth noting. Retail, Costco, holding in okay, but back on the 200-day. Walmart also found the 200-day finally here today. We saw a big spike in names like Lululemon and Nike here today off of news that Trump and the not sure Vietnamese leader's title had spoken, and that Vietnam is saying they're going to put tariffs at zero on the U.S. We don't know what we're doing back. Listen, U.S. is not going to sell a lot of items into Vietnam no matter what, okay? They're a communist country, and we're just not going to be selling a ton into there, and it's not a market for us no matter what. But the problem we are facing is even Apple is exposed to this. A lot of our especially apparel comes out of Vietnam, and that high tariff rate would have been very bad for these companies. So if this is being fixed, this is a good thing. We'll see what comes out of that. And then let's talk big cap tech. Microsoft today, we traded that out of the gate today. Why? Because Microsoft looked better this morning. Now it's come back down, but still, look, it's holding in. It's up off where it opened on the day. One of the very few names that went green for a while. Amazon is strong. Didn't get green, but look at the candle, the reversal off the 166. Meta also holding in today, not green, but up off the open. Same thing with Google. They wanted these names today. They've been beaten up the most. Maybe that's why. Apple's in a world of hurt, all the way down to 187 here. This is a name that dropped from 250 here quickly down to 187. Still has a big buyback, still has a healthy dividend, but a lot of problems with them and their supply chain with this. Not sure what to make of it all. NVIDIA, should talk that one. Not NVIDIA. Netflix. Netflix really shouldn't be caught up in this, but they're getting caught up in it anyway to a certain extent. Palantir's been trying to hold in, but finally lost 100 days, so some weakness there. And Tesla. So let's talk Tesla. Huge candle on Wednesday, and yesterday in the carnage we held in well. Unfortunately today, Tesla could not refine its magic. It capitulated and came down to this 240 area. Tesla, tough name, right? You have Dan Ives at Wedbush and a couple other larger funds have publicly called for Musk to come back to his company. There was talk that he was coming back this week. It was reported by Politico. I think Politico, the White House, and Musk both called it fake news. The reporter stands by their story. Bottom line is, if he was to come back, Tesla probably rallies hard off of that if he announced it. Nothing there right now. So as we go into this weekend, and this is a longer video than normal, I'm going to do some select charts on Sunday. Members in the room, any charts you want, post them. I will make sure I do them. And, we'll see what we get on Monday morning. If Europe responds and is vicious, we could be looking at a big gap down. If Europe doesn't respond, probably going to hold here. We're very extended to the downside, very hard to short here. There's people out there calling all over the place for Black Monday. Okay. This is where I take a big breath and say, let us hope not. Everybody have a great weekend. Members in the room, if you need to chat for free, always give me a call or just hook me up, send me a DM, and let's go from there.